I knew the call was undeniable, so I actually started my own little business. I'm like, well, if this, if we're not going to get funding from churches or from individuals to go plant a church or plant churches, um, I'll just start a business and do it. And so um, that's kind of what I did. But at that point, I looked at it as kind of like a short-term solution, right? And then God made it abundantly clear that He wanted us out here before we thought we were ready to move out here. And so we moved out here on Chandra had a travel nursing contract. So we ended up just moving on a whim with no funding. I had a little home business designing, developing websites. And so we kind of landed out here. And then one of the things that we discovered while we were here is that Mormon people looked very negatively upon Christian pastors. They assume, in general, they assume that most pastors are aspiring to be Joel Osteen or somebody and have a jet, and so they're going to make money off their church and get wealthy. So that was an obstacle that we were already facing that we didn't know we were facing. And so we kind of made a decision once we began to understand that. I mean, just within a few months of being here, that, you know what, this might not be the best thing to try to set this whole church planting thing up to be an occupational thing through the church. Like, if we can make our living from outside of the church, and that's just one less barrier that we have to try to help a struggling Mormon over when they find out that we don't do that. Because here at a local level, the Mormon bishop, who's kind of the equivalent of a pastor, they don't take a salary, so they're all volunteer at a local level. And so we're like, we need to kind of, not to copy that per se, but just to kind of like lower the bar of admission for people, just to give them one less thing to be something they can trip over, right? So we kind of made that decision. And then there's also the biblical examples that we have where, you even hear the Apostle Paul saying things like, that I didn't take a dime from you while I was with you. That I worked just like everybody else out there. And he was saying that to his congregation, right? To the church that he had planted. And there's something about having equal skin in the game. I think with your church family that raises the level of commitment for the disciples that you're discipling. And it kind of helps build a sense of camaraderie with each other, because it's like, well, the pastor isn't making a living off of this. So your expectations for the pastor maybe are a little bit more realistic. And then the expectations for the pastor are a lot more realistic for the congregation too. So.